Allison Verhalen here with A Writing Services, and today I want to talk to you about Google's personalized search results. So you may or may not know, obviously everyone knows that Google tracks everything we do, right? Well, in theory, that is so they can give us content that is most relevant to us, right? I think of this as kind of like if a friend, just finished binging the latest great Netflix, whatever, and they ask you what they should watch next. If you know they're a true crime fan, you're probably going to point them to the latest docuseries about, the woman who disappeared, whose lover may or may not be involved, right? Versus if they like rom-coms, your recommendation is going to be very different. So Google is the same way, right? It knows if you like certain things, you're probably going to like more of those things. Whereas if you like something else, even if you search the exact same thing as someone else, they want to give you different search results because they want to give you results that are most relevant to you, which is great as a user. But what does this mean as a marketer, right? Because this can work both ways for us. This can mean people who have already spent time on our website are more likely to see our website when they're searching for something related to what we do. It also means that if they've already spent time on one of our competitors' websites, those same search results can lead them to a competitor instead of us. So what can you do about this? So we're going to talk about some of the different things that Google takes into account when it is determining who shows up in which searches, right? Which content to put in front of people when they're searching something. So first of all is location. I think this is a huge one and one of the most obvious ones, especially if someone is looking for such and such near me. Google is going to point them to, Google figures out where people are. Obviously, if you don't have mobile tracking on your phone, they are going to use your IP address to figure out where you're located. It's not quite as accurate, but it's still pretty good. So yes, Google knows where we are and what we are doing at all times. So, but that can be beneficial as a user, right? Because if you want, the best ice cream shop near me, right, you're gonna want stuff that is near you and not stuff that's 10 miles away. So keep that in mind. That location is super important. You should have this set up on your Google My Business page, right? So if you're like me and you work out of your home, you do have to provide your address. You don't have to make it public because obviously I don't want people knowing what my home address is, right? So Google knows where I live, but it is not public. And because my business is online, I can serve people anywhere. I can tell Google My Business that I can work anywhere, that it's a digital-based business and it's not location specific. If you have a brick and mortar store or an office, or let's say you're an attorney and you're only licensed in certain states, right? That's something you need to take into account. So you want to tell people that you can help them in Illinois or New Jersey or Idaho or wherever it is that you're licensed. That's what you want to focus on. So you can tell Google My Business page that. That's why we see when we search for something like that, a lot of what we'll see is those Google My Business profiles popping up because they are so important for location. So if you don't already have a Google My Business page, you absolutely should. And even if you don't take advantage of the location, again, it depends on your business. If you need to take advantage of it, if you have a very location specific business, absolutely use that in your Google My Business profile. So that's number one, is your location. Next up is search history, right? So again, if people have already spent time on your website, it's going to be more likely to show up when they search for something related. This is why you cannot just Google yourself to see where your website is showing up, because Google will rank your website higher when you search it versus when someone else searches it, because Google knows you've spent a lot of time on that website. So it's going to push that website in front of you again. So this is why you need a rank tracker. And this is why you need, if you have a rank tracker, you can go into personalized incognito mode, which in theory does not factor in your search history when you're searching for something. So that's one way to kind of check in on your search results. Again, kind of incognito, get an unbiased view of it. So keep that in mind. This is also why you should target keywords that have a fair amount of search, but don't already have a ton of competition out there. So you can start ranking for those keywords early on before your competitors start ranking for it. And then people are going to click on it and they're going to spend time on your website. And then when they search something else that's related to it, Google will be more likely to show them your website because they already spend time there. This is why you could also use other tactics to drive traffic to your website, right? You can use paid search, you can use social media, use all of those to your advantage so people will spend time on your website so that then when they're looking for you, they're going to be more likely to find you. And then last but not least, devices. So Google's mobile search is almost a completely different algorithm from the algorithm that determines what to show you when you're on a desktop. And a lot of that is determined by whether or not your content is mobile friendly. Does it load quickly on a mobile device? Does it show up on a mobile device, or does it run off the screen? These are all things you need to optimize because we are mobile. And now that we are finally getting back out into the world, we're going to be out and about more. We're going to be relying more on our phones and on our tablets. So you need to be mobile. I cannot stress this enough, how important it is that your website is optimized for mobile. If it is not, you are losing out on an opportunity to get in front of a huge portion of the population, because everyone, especially my generation, I know even when we're at home, we tend to look stuff up on our phone because it's easy. It's right there. So that's it. Oh, and then the other fun thing that we can talk about, which is not really have anything to do with your SEO strategy. But Google, keep in mind, there's Google search, right? And then I'm making this video on YouTube, which is also owned by Google. And then there's Gmail, and what else is there? Google Hangouts and your calendar and Google Task List and Google Reminders and all these different services that Google provides, all these different products. So if you use other products, you can search, you can ask Google, like, what am I doing this weekend? Or when does my flight leave? If you're looking to, if you're trying to keep up, if you're leaving for somewhere and you're not sure when your flight leaves, you can ask Google when your flight leaves, and Google will tell you because it keeps track of all these things, because it knows all these other things about you from your other products that you use that were made by Google. So that is just something to keep in mind. Not really super helpful from an SEO marketing standpoint, but just something that I think is interesting and kind of fun to talk about. So now I am done talking about Google's personalized search. If you have any other questions, you can always reach me at thewritingservices, v.as.in.victor.com. You can also find out more information like this on my blog over on that website. And if you have any questions, you can reach out to me directly at info@v.as.in.victor, writingservices.com. Have a great week and happy blogging, everyone.